Mercedes-AMG Interview Lounge.
Dr. Oz is laughing at my springtime clothing.
Adoring them.
He looks so cute. Oh, wait, can we just say that Kate Middleton had a boy?
Oh, she did?
Yeah, before
good.
We knew it.
Congratulations.
We knew it would happen.
We did. We said boy.
We knew it was a boy.
Yeah.
This means Prince Harry is now 6th in line, right?
That's
for the
it.
throne.
The baby's
And
the 5th.
Harry's so excited. He doesn't want to be the king.
The further he goes away, the better.
So, Dr. Oz, we have many things to talk about. First of all, let's talk about tonight's event. Why am I being honored at this event? Because it's about honoring healthy people.
Well,
what if I have a heart attack between now and tonight?
No, I feel very confident about your health for the next 12 hours.
All right.
You're getting the Golden Heart Award because you have a golden heart.
Oh,
a kind individual who's always out there for folks in the community. And Health Corps is one of the kids. It's a kids' health foundation, one of the largest in the country. And it's 15 years old. We've been passionate about being the glue that holds the broken pieces of the pottery of society together. It's one-stop shopping if you're a young person, teen, and need help. And we work with people who want to lose weight and exercise better, but most importantly, it's about mental resilience because our biggest epidemic in society now is loneliness. And so healthcorps.org is where you'd go. And we have tons of information about how you can play a role. If you don't know how to help kids, we'll tell you how. But don't think kids are the weakness. They're the strength of our society. And we witnessed it in Washington a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
On gun issues. We're seeing it all across the country. Kids are not going to tolerate some of the stuff that the earlier generations were willing to cope with. And I think it's a good thing for our society. So healthcorps.org is honoring Elvis Duran tonight at a festive event. It's going to be a huge party. Elvis will be a little tired tomorrow morning, but it's reflective of the celebration we think we all should have towards each other, and you're emblematic of it.
I love it. And once again, another way that Dr. Oz, and of course Lisa Oz, a big part of this as well.
Yeah.
The biggest part.
Well, there you have it. I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
Aw.
It's like they want to honor you at the health course. I'm like, me?
Yeah, just to show you how important. So tomorrow, as soon as the earliest I could after the gala, I'm going to the Vatican. I get to meet with the Pope this week.
The Pope has an audience with
Wow.
Dr. Oz?
No, the Pope is having a Vatican conference on ethics in medicine.
Right.
And so there are lots of people who spent their whole life organizing this thing. I'm just one of the moderators, but he's meeting with us.
How
to talk to us.
fabulous.
I know.
That's awesome.
Actually, I think Katy Perry's coming, Tony Robbins. There are other folks there, but there are a lot of scientists who are just Sanjay Gupta. They're closing the gap because we try to separate science from religion, which is actually the wrong question. It's even the wrong thing to try to do because the most amazing thing about the world is our consciousness. Think about this. We don't understand at all how we can actually be aware of things bigger than us. We're also proud that we left Africa 70,000 years ago and took over the planet, but humans have been around for 300,000 years. What happened for the whole time we were waiting in Africa?
When are we going to get it together?
Well, we started to get it together 70,000 years ago, and began to realize there were things bigger than us. We could believe in something that we couldn't see, whether it's religion or capitalism or love. We realized the binding power of all those things, and that allowed our species to thrive. And we have to get back and recognize that we focus so much on the messed up part of our consciousness, but our brains are like Ferraris. They're these unbelievable machines. But yes, when the spark plugs are off, everyone hears how messed up it is. So we can talk about how crazy we are, but our brains grew the size they are to be able to read each other's facial expressions, to hear subtlety in our voice. People listen to your voice, Elvis, every morning, and it affects them in powerful subconscious ways they don't even understand. And it resonates literally, by the way, at 444 hertz in a way that turns people's oxytocin on, makes them feel bonded, connected. Our brains grew to do that. When we forget that connectiveness we're supposed to naturally have, that's when we begin to implode. That's why loneliness is so common, because people text and they don't talk.
Wow.
So you said you're going to go see the Pope?
Yes. Is that what you took from that? Yeah. Pope. Actually, what it says is Pope attendance confirmed.
Oh my God.
Parentheses. Pending world events.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Pope's always on call. You know
Right.
that.
Exactly.
No, but you see, this is why I love having you as a friend, because you remind us that there is something much bigger out there. And we were talking about this on our show Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there something bigger going on?
Right.
Can't we just get out of our own little circle and understand that there's a whole universe that's controlling what's going on? And once you can harness that thought, then you're the master of your universe.
Well, just to put some math into this point, because everyone feels that intuitively, but there's a good friend of mine who used to be a senior executive at Google, very math guy, and he had a tragedy in his family and he changed his life. Mogo Watt's his name, and he did the calculation. He said, "What are the odds that this all could just be by accident?" And it would take 30, 40, 50 billion years for where we are now to happen by accident. There's something guiding this process. You can call it God. You don't have to. There's something else out there that
you can
we
call
don't
it
understand.
your universe.
Your universe,
Right.
your guidance. Some guiding, benevolent hand is out there playing a role. It's not, or some physical force we don't understand. But it's something that's beyond our comprehension. But that's exciting. Makes you realize that there's a bigger game at play. So as down as you may feel right now, this very second, as you're driving to wherever you're going, recognize there's something bigger out there. And we're like little raindrops falling into the ocean of humanity. The most powerful tool we have is each other. It's always been the quilt that's been the safety net for humanity. And when we begin to fray at that, it causes issues. Groups like Health Corps focus on helping remind teens of that reality because the brain's not fully formed. You need someone to just hammer home what a mentor or a parent would say, which is, it's okay. I know it's hard. That's how it's supposed to be. Because life's not about happiness. It really isn't. Happiness is like little effervescent bubbles coming out of your soft drink. Life's about joy. Life's about something deeper that's making you realize it's all worth it. It's about meaning. And when you have something you're passionate about and you're doing it because it feels good and it's good for everybody else around you, that's true joy. You can do that for the rest of your life. Even bad stuff happens and people can find joy in it. As a doctor, I still practice. I see that daily. Right? Bad stuff, bad diagnoses happen, and people still find connection in that, and that brings them a joy, even though they don't want the news.
Right. And I think it's great that more and more people are understanding this. It's personally, and I think I'm speaking for everyone, we need to find triggers that get us back on course. You can sometimes wake up and find that you're swimming in an ocean of grief or sadness, or you're sad, well, whatever. And some people are dealing with depression as well. We've got to find ways to self-correct and to remind ourselves that we're okay. We can rely on each other. These things aren't temporary, or these are things we can work on and we can have people help us with. I love it. I love you, Dr. Oz.
I love you
too. You
too.
always make me feel so good when you come in here.
So actually, because just as you got into it, I wasn't going to discuss it, but I'm going to give you a little quiz.
Oh, a quiz. We love quiz. Oh, Danielle.
Okay.
Come on,
so
Froggy,
this
Scary.
This is a happiness quiz.
Here we go.
There's only three questions. If you miss it, you can go to sharecare.com or droz.com. You'll see it there.
Okay.
All right. So when's the last time you did something for yourself that you wanted to do that you didn't have to do? Is it A, I can't remember, B, within the last week or so, C, within the last few days? Again, something that you did for yourself that you wanted to do, but you didn't have to do.
B.
Yeah, what was B again?
B was last week.
Yeah, I'll take B too.
Yeah, B. It's good to do something for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that you don't have to do. So that's if you're listening right now and you haven't done that in the last week or so. I can't remember. There we now we're talking. There's a lot of I don't remembers, which probably means I can't remember because that's answer A.
Well, so another answer here is you need to think about this.
Yeah.
When's the last time I did something for me? I didn't have to do it, but I did it because I just wanted to take care of myself.
Right.
Because you're worth it.
I like it.
It's a litmus test of where you put yourself. All right, second question. How often do you dwell on big life problems that aren't immediately solvable?
No, every 5 minutes.
Every day.
Right this very moment.
Yeah. So we prioritize stuff that's in front of us because our brains are designed to do that instead of prioritizing stuff that we should focus on. It is my personal biggest challenge.
Yeah.
I have my little checklist. By the time I finish my checklist, I'm exhausted. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
So fighting and forcing myself to carve out an extra half hour. You don't need a lot. 10 minutes just to focus on something that really matters. So again, if it's if that's your life, then there's a problem. Okay. Last question. Most important. How often do you cancel plans with friends because you're busy? A, all the time. B, sometimes. C, hardly ever.
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
Hardly ever.
Yeah. Good. Now I'm proud. Because I'm hanging with people who have their priorities straight. That is actually a place where a lot of people fall down. And when you don't maintain those friendships, I have a very good friend who's you guys would know his name. He's really pretty prominent. He's in the financial sector.
Carrot Top,
right. And so he said, he invited me to visit a friend of his. He was going to see him in the hospital, and it's a very, very close friend. The guy was suffering with a cancer. And he walked out of there, and he was really down. And then he sort of looked up, and he had a brilliant vision. He said, that's a man I love dearly, and I would always put off being with him because I was busy. From now on, I will never let that happen. We will always have that time in our life when you realize the most important thing are those little itty-bitty coffee clutches that we're too busy for, but that's what makes it all worthwhile anyway. So happiness, and this is when we look at indicators of how people do in life, that's a big driver. At the Harvard Longevity Study, the number one thing that they put when they put the pieces together to predict people living a long time and being good at living long is meaningful connections, meaningful relationships, because we're hardwired to do that.
You always stress that when you come in here. Out of all the things that are you have many headlines, Dr. Oz, but connection with other people is always always the common thread with our conversations. I love that.
Well, when we did the Real Age test, which is, again, it's about 100 questions that you can answer for yourself that predict how old your body thinks you are, that's the place where people fail. They'll check their blood pressure. They'll pay attention to the blood sugar. They don't think the connections are as important. They are more important. And they actually make a lot of the rest of the stuff. I mean, having relationships helps you sleep better. It just indirectly there's connections, but then there's direct ones as well. And that's why I hammer at this stuff, because people overlook simple stuff. It's the small stuff that hold us back.
Well, speaking of, I think I have Peyronie's disease.
It's possible. You want to define that for everybody?
What?
You want to define that for everybody?
Pierogi disease?
No,
Pierogi? You eat pierogies?
Oh, I like pierogies.
No, my wiener's crooked.
Oh, is it?
Is that what that is?
Yeah, Peroni.
Wait, did you look
I
at
thought
it?
it was a beer.
Does it curve up, down, side to
Well,
side?
I'm not going to get into details. I think I've told you enough.
Maybe you broke it at one time.
Well, that's actually a very nice pickup.
Yeah.
What happened?
Just so everyone's on the same page. People think Peroni's is some kind of a biscuit. No, Peroni's is so the male organ.
I've got a biscuit.
The male organ has a casing on it, like a sausage has a casing.
Yes.
Imagine if the actual that little thin casing,
Yeah.
the intestinal wall, so to speak, cracks. Now all of a sudden the sausage begins to tilt to the left, right, up, down, right.
It's true. My sausage is leaning.
Right. So you have a leaning sausage that does a pizza.
Now, can they fix that?
Would you run into the wall with it?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, they can fix it. It's got to be painful to fix that.
Yeah, well, so actually, I've had, unfortunately, these poor men on my show, the people rupture their penis. Usually it's because the woman's on top.
Well, I didn't have that problem.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm bringing it up.
That didn't happen to him, Dr. Ross.
It didn't happen to you, but
No.
usually you're on the bottom, I should have said.
Okay, oh my God.
The male's on the bottom.
Oh,
I
Lord.
misspoke.
All right.
And so there's a cracking sound, then followed by a scream,
Ow.
and then an emergency, and they get a big hematoma to a red area, and then the doctors have to operate urgently.
Okay, I don't have that.
No, but you get subclinical fractures, smaller fractures, which means you're active, which is good.
Stop using it so much.
Is that what it is?
That
I'm
must
too active.
be what it is.
Yeah, you know me.
Elvis, did you run into the back door? Is that what happened?
That's what happened. No, there's a lot of stuff going on in your show. I just wanted to bring this up, Dr. Ross. You talked about what we talked about the other day. The hand dryers in bathrooms they're shooting sharticles.
Yes.
Don't use those hand dryers.
You know what? I was in one over the weekend at a baseball park, and I'm like, "Oh, Dr. Ross says I can't use this. I better find a piece of paper."
I'll tell you, get a napkin or
Yeah.
Kleenex, right, or toilet paper if they don't have a dispenser. Dry your hands with that. Use that to open the door.
Of course.
Because the door's the dirtiest thing you're going to
Yeah.
touch. Everyone before you with their wet hands from urine, water, or whatever.
It's not good.
Not good. Just use that to open the door. Toss that in the garbage.
Okay, and also when Dr. Oz investigates, what really is in your fast food fish sandwich? Well, first of all, is there any fish in my fish sandwich?
Some companies, we actually did an examination. We did biopsies of the fish sandwiches.
Right? What'd you find? Did you find fish in the fish sandwiches?
Usually, yes. Oftentimes, no.
You have a fun job.
So yes, so it has to actually look like fish. If it doesn't actually look like fish, that's a strike. That's a strike.
Okay.
Most of these companies try to do the right thing, but there are enough that aren't. So we talk about it, pretty open about what.
Well,
to
when
look
you
for.
didn't find fish, what did you find?
Different kinds of fish, filler, stuff that you shouldn't be in anything sandwich.
Oh, God, like pork.
Yuck.
And the 7-day Kickstart plan, also known as the Apple Cider Vinegar Project.
Number one home remedy in America right now is
Talk
apple
about
cider
that.
vinegar. So apple cider vinegar is interesting. It's an old remedy, and look, I love old remedies because they generally work. Otherwise, they would have been droned out, right? The fads that don't make sense, you get rid of. But apple cider vinegar seems to feed the good bacteria in your gut, and we've talked about the fact that you outsource digestion, right? Bacteria in your gut digest your food.
Right.
Apple cider vinegar feeds the good bacteria, starves the bad bacteria. It also probably affects how fats get metabolized in the body. So it's a remedy that people use and been swearing by. So we have a 7-day challenge where you take a teaspoonful of apple cider vinegar before every meal or with the meal. So you can have it as a salad dressing, put it in your smoothie, or just have it separately with some sparkling water.
Tablespoon, you said?
Tablespoon.
So 3 per day, basically.
3 per day. And then coconut oils are great to have in this program. So we added them because coconut oils they're short fats, so they get digested differently than old-fashioned saturated fats. And then we want some yogurt in your diet because yogurt actually gives you more of the good bacteria. So we feed the good bacteria, you eat good bacteria, and then you eat a source of calories other than carbohydrates that are better for you.
I have a question though. If you can't down the apple cider vinegar, because I cannot take the taste, is there something you can do to make it taste better?
Put lemon in it or curcumin, turmeric.
Okay.
And then that'll make it a little more palatable for most folks. But I'll tell you, I like to mix it in the food because you don't taste it that much,
Okay.
really. It gives it a nice little tang, especially with salads. It's great.
Yeah, mix it in your salad.
Yeah.
You
I just
can
had
do
a
that.
salad.
I love a good salad. So, are you following everything you talk about on your show? How could you possibly keep up with all of this?
I don't do them all, but my producers do.
Yeah.
So the most amazing experience, I have 100 people who work on the show, and most of these ideas come because producers actually personally use them. Someone has to do them because I wouldn't do the show otherwise. To give us personal, real, practical experience. Does it make sense? Is it impossible, etc. But things like apple cider vinegar, the whole staff's taken. They love this stuff so much. But in order to make sure that health works, you got to customize it to yourself.
Right.
So almost every bit of advice I give will work for 80% of people, just like a medication would work for 80% of people, and 20% you have more trouble with.
Something we've talked about before, I want to bring it back again. When I go to the grocery store, I see the organic produce versus the regular produce. Isn't it okay just to buy a regular bell pepper? Do I have to buy organic bell pepper and pay $15 more?
So if you have the money, I think you should eat organic always. And I'll tell you why. It's not just for your own health. I do think the produce generally is tastier, but it's not necessarily healthier. So I don't want people feeling badly because they can't afford organic, but it's better for the planet if you eat organic. So for that reason, people can afford it, ought to do it. If you're a mom at home and you're having trouble making ends meet, do not feel guilty about the fact you're not buying organic produce. Any produce is better than the other stuff you might be buying. It's okay if it's not organic. There's no huge health difference. Nutrient contents are very similar. In fact, my biggest recommendation is frozen produce because it's inexpensive. You won't have wastage. We waste about a third of the produce we buy. That's what makes it expensive. We don't eat it. You throw it away before you get through it all. And frozen produce, you can pull out and use it anytime you want, so it's in your back pocket to be able to, figuratively, in order to be able to use to make your kids and your family healthier. And also, when they harvest food and freeze it, they harvest it when it's perfectly ripe. So it has all the vitamins in it because it's gotten ripe. And then you immediately freeze it so it stores all those vitamins. Whereas in order to get produce that your grocery store can sell you that looks good, they have to harvest before it's ripe. And they let it ripen in their shipping process. Right. It's not the same.
So don't poo-poo over your frozen produce. Yeah. It's there. It's ready. It's easier to, especially peas and carrots and things like that.
Biggest hidden secret.
So let me ask you this. Now that I'm eating more of a plant-based diet and less animal protein, is this why my wiener is crooked?
No. True, unrelated. So good that the leaning green is good, but your leaning penis is not related to that.
All right. Just making sure. So do you ever stop down, Dr. Oz, and go, okay, I've been doing this for these dozens of years. I've experienced these great things in my life and career. I've experienced these challenges in my life and career. Do you ever stop down and go, let me think about where I am right now and where I want to go from today forward? Do you ever have time just to sit there and think about you and what you mean to the universe and what you want to do and still accomplish?
That's why I meditate. The most important thing that I think I've given my staff, and probably the most important recommendation I'll give to your listeners right now, is to find some form of stillness. You can meditate. You can just sit quietly. I tell women, go to the bathroom, put the toilet lid down. You're not really going potty. Just you want the quietness. Your kids won't bother you in the bathroom usually. And just 5 minutes, just close your eyes and think about why this matters. It is such a powerful tool to make you more creative. My team is given transcendental meditation if they desire it, and we teach it in the afternoons. And I learned that from Oprah, who would do it for her team. And here's the big argument. I want you working hard, but more importantly, I want you working smart. And there are a lot of people working their tails off right now who are working hard but not smart. And that gives up huge opportunities. You want to be creative. But creation for me is connecting dots others don't see. But that's your huge value, right? The menial things you have to do to be able to be creative are things that others could do for you, and one day machines probably will. But the human mind is the most creative structure out there. How we connect dots no one understands. So connect the dots. Be the creative person that you're destined to be.
You want to create something right now?
That's great.
Watch this.
Oh.
There you go. You just created something, I bet.
It smells so good.
I created dead air.
Well, I think silence is the most powerful tool we have, right? Because if you're in a conversation or you're negotiating, once you finish saying what you're going to say, be quiet. And that little extra pause.
Yeah. See, in radio, we've always been taught that dead air
is bad.
People will tune out. But I love a little dead air. Where's Greg T?
Dr. Oz, would you vote for Oprah for president?
For sure, in a second.
Wow.
Greg T.
But she doesn't want to do it.
Can we talk about...
You could be the first man or something.
May we talk about Greg T's ringworm?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Do you want to talk about him being... We can only do one Greg T problem. Gregory.
Is he naked?
Where is...
No, thank goodness.
Gregory, we can either talk about ringworm or how you are pee shy. Which one? You have to choose one.
I think pee shy is...
Okay, into a microphone would be nice. Okay, so pee shy. Describe to Dr. Oz, because I don't think this is uncommon.
Right. So what I've been noticing is it's fairly common with a lot of men. Only a lot of men don't want to talk about it.
Talk
But
about
I have
yourself.
a real big issue. So when I really have to go, totally legit, I'll go to a men's room, and if I see somebody there standing at a urinal, I'll kind of go, oh, wrong turn, and I'll walk out, and then I kind of will watch and see if the guys will come out, and when it's clear, then I go in. And the reason is that I have to come clean about this. I am completely pee shy. I cannot go. Even when my bladder's full, like if I'm at a wedding, I can't go. I have to eye the men's room until I can get in there when I know it's empty.
Is this just
Oh my
men?
God.
Are there women who can't sit in a stall and go to the bathroom if someone's in the next stall?
I have no problems.
Okay, good.
I had the same problem, T. I thought it was just me.
So, Dr. Oz, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I thought it was the vegetable pee you were shy about, which it's good to know it's not that.
Like English pee shy.
English pee shy. It's very common in men, actually. Women don't have as much of an issue because there's a shorter path for the urine. All the women have to do is just relax pretty much, and the tube opens. That's why incontinence is more common in women. Guys have to actually, get the prostate to relax. A lot of things have to happen.
Right.
And the interesting thing about peeing and defecating is that you have to allow your parasympathetic nerves, the relaxation nerves of the body, to fire, which means you've got to be completely relaxed. Well, being around other men naturally will tense most men up, right? Because you don't want to be peeing while someone's stabbing you, the stall next door, conceptually.
Yeah.
You think back 1,000 years. So you want to be by yourself when you do those things because you're not vulnerable to you're vulnerable to others, but you don't want them to take advantage of you. So it's very
being
normal.
pee shy is something that's just in us.
It's supposed to be. Now that you know that, you're not messed up. Don't build the pee shyness with the embarrassment about the pee shyness, which
But
then
that's
makes you
what
not.
happens. My brain starts to go, well, I can't go, and now I'm like, as much as I'm pushing and pushing, like I can't get a drop out. It's completely dry.
You see, you
and
shouldn't
that's
have
more of a problem.
You shouldn't have to push to urinate. Urination should just happen.
It's one of the, like many things in life that pushing doesn't help you much.
Yeah,
it's going the other direction. Just ignoring I just focus on the tip of my organ and just look there. The first drop comes out, then it goes. It's for me, it's a game.
What a visual you've given us. Thank you.
Pushing only
the problem is
helps
my problem is the water's so cold when the tip is, and
my God.
and it's deep too.
There he goes. We've never heard that one. All right, I don't want to end our time with you on this note. Yeah. So is there anything else we need to be talking about pertaining to Dr. Oz, the Empire, tonight's event?
Well, we have the Emmy Awards this weekend, which we got a couple of fun things going on.
Of course.
And I want to just point out to everybody, a lot of folks are asking me why we're doing true crime on the show, which has been very popular this year.
Absolutely.
And part of the reason we do true crime is because there's lots of questions about it, but people want truth. And the show's brand really is about truth. I mean, I try to tell you the truth when we do food investigations. And we began realizing that a lot of the stories were either completely off or they didn't really understand the deeper reasons why it happened. So this could range from what's going through the mind of a serial murderer or a shooter to the forensics around a murder case or what happened to the relatives and how they coping. And so and I'll give you a good example. You know about the Turpin family, right, which is a show we're doing tomorrow, the 13 kids in California that were abused by their parents.
Yes.
So you look at that mom, you've seen pictures of her, you think, what a reprehensible person. So, again, because people trust the show, they're willing to come on. So her sister is on the show. And she starts to explain to me why her sister is where she is. And she explains that when they were children, they were abused. They grew up in West Virginia. So it's very I'm obviously. So, and I'm trying to be caring to the sister. So I let her tell the story. And she says, when we were young, our mom would sell us. I said, well, it's terrible. Why would that happen? She didn't have any money. She needed the money. Well, who should sell you to? She said, it was always the same person. And who was the person? Well, he was a man in our family.
Oh, God.
And I said, well, who was that? He said, it was her father, our grandfather. So this is the part that, of course, that is painful, but you get past, you say, okay, so how do you explain why you turned out okay and your sister abused all these children? And she said, I'm always going to love my sister. And the reason I'm going to love her is because when my grandfather would come for us, she'd push me out of the way. She'd go in place of me. Now, here's the question for everybody. What is it that would allow this young woman who was probably 13, 14 at the time to sacrifice everything for her sibling and yet years later, apparently, allegedly, be abusive of all of her own children? What went wrong? Trying to understand, because that's a pretty extreme shift, helps us all understand where we are, what happens in the human mind. Those are the kinds of psychological challenges that we all face, just trying to make sense of the world around us. And that's the explanation for the many of you, because I get this question more than any other. And I know it's popular. I know people watch the show because they like those stories, but I want you to understand that I'm passionate about it for a very specific reason. Because if you truly understand, it's hard to hate up close. When you really understand what's going on with somebody's mind, not to excuse it or defend it, just understand it, it allows the whole process to make more sense.
And it allows us to examine ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, why do we feel certain ways? Why do we do things certain ways? You can see through the actions of others that, we're all human beings and we all have this road we go down, but sometimes it's better to understand other people's roads because it helps us understand our own. I truly believe that.
Yeah, because life is fleeting. I mean, yesterday I was driving down, I don't know if you saw this.
New Jersey Turnpike.
Yeah. I was driving down to give a talk for a bunch of kids who were being honored by Ben Carson, who's the HUD secretary. But he's been doing this for 20 years, honoring hundreds of kids for being community activists. And I saw the lives of a bunch of young people flash in front of me because their bus in front of us blew out and then caught on fire. Mm-hmm. And you watch that and you think it's like a movie. It doesn't make any sense. But it reminds you of how precious every second is. And what's always been rewarding to me as a physician is patients get that. We all will at some point. That's a message that will get louder and louder in our ear. But, you ignore it when you're young.
Well, some people don't get it until they're patients, until they're faced with the possibility of death or... and that's why, every time we have someone, I know we're running late, but every time we have someone on who is on their way to chemotherapy or they beat cancer, whatever, and they look at life through a whole different set of eyes. How come we can't learn to do the same thing without going through a cancer scare? How come I can't learn from someone who almost died about how important and valuable life truly is without? I don't want to go through that cancer scare to learn the same lesson. It's important to listen to other people's stories.
Well, think about the word patient and patience.
Yeah.
But they sort of travel together. So let me give you one summer homework.
Homework.
I'm a professor. I got to do a little bit.
All right. We'll take it.
Your summer homework is to take the real age test.
The real age test.
Yes.
Where is this?
It's free. Go to ShareCare. Download the ShareCare app. ShareCare. Download the app. Take the real age test. It'll teach you a lot about the decisions you're making in your life and which ones are really a problem and which ones aren't so much a problem.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what I'm going to find.
Yeah, it's okay. ShareCare.com. Take the real age test. You'll be thanking me when I come back to visit you.
Oh my God! I just took it. I'm 117 years old.
You look so good for your age.
Holy! All right, perfect.
And thank you so much for coming to the Health Corps Gala tonight. It's going to be a fun time for a lot of folks, but most importantly, you're changing the lives of a lot of kids. And I know they handed the little flyer to you to make sure you post on the socials sites of Health Corps, but it's much deeper than that. This is a way for average Americans to help teens in this country keep up with life.
I love it. We love you, Dr. Oz.
I love you too.
Thank you for coming by. By the way, Health Corps social media, follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at healthcorps.org. Yeah, there's a lot of letters here. I'm going to go over this.
Spelled C-O-R-P-S.
Yeah,
it's like the Peace Corps. It's based on the Peace Corps concept, but it's called the Health Corps. People say Health Corps, but I wouldn't do that.
Oh, it's Health Corps at Health Corps. See, it looks like two H's there. Never mind. All right, we'll be back. Dr. Oz, we love you.
I love you too, man.
We'll see you tonight.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.